Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by Sam Paley. Of course, if you've been watching this channel, he's been on here quite a bit. But of course, drives in the MX-5 Cup Series. How's it going, bud?
I'm good, Casey. Thanks for having me on. How are you?
Doing well. Just kind of talk about this year because the thing is, you went into this year not knowing that your season was going to continue after Daytona, but I mean, you were at St. Pete, and you're going to be at Laguna Seca as well. So, let's kind of talk about how this year's kind of been going for you.
Yeah, I mean, just like every year, it's always a financial struggle, just like many other race car drivers have. It's a very competitive sport, both on the track and off the track, and it's difficult to fund those resources together to make it happen. Um, but yeah, so far we've done the first two opening weekends, and we're planning on doing the next two weekends for sure. And then hopefully from there, we'll be able to garner enough funds to do the rest of the season. I think the big benefit of running in the Mazda MX-5 Cup is the large prize package. Um, with the race payouts for race wins, podium finishes, all the way down to 10th, and then of course you have the end of the season championship payout as well. So that's a great incentive for drivers to continue driving in the series. Results wise, we're sitting P5 in the championship right now. Little disappointing. We had a DNF at Daytona, and without that DNF, we'd be probably top two on the championship. But a lot of drivers this year have conflicts with competing series and different sanctioning events. Other spec series and other series across the country have some conflicts. So I think we're really deep in the championship fight this year. So I hope that we can do the whole year. And I'm still with McCumbee Maclear Racing, and they've given me a very competitive product. So I'm excited for the next one.
Yeah, what's it just like to be out there? Because it's like, every time someone talks about MX-5 Cup, they're like, "Oh, it's must see TV and all that." I mean, it is. I mean, just watch Daytona and you'll find out. So, just talk about how competitive this series is and what's it just like to be a part of it.
Yeah, so it's obviously a very competitive series. I've been in it for 3 full years now, and every year it gets more and more competitive. The champions don't really leave the series. I mean, last year Gresham Wagner was, or no, sorry, last year Jared Thomas was the champion.
Yep.
2020, Gresham Wagner was the champion. They both are still in the series. A lot of great drivers from the last few years still compete in the Mazda MX-5 Cup, and they know these cars really well. They know how they race. Specifically, the car. It's a great TV product, and it makes the racing really close. Part of the reason for that is the new sequential transmission, and there's no roof on the cars, so the draft effect is very exaggerated. So that gives us the close pack racing that everyone loves to see. And yeah, as a driver, it's a lot of fun. It's very busy on track. I mean, you never really get a break. You're never really by yourself. It's always faster to be with other cars. And even if you're leading the race, or even if you're sixth behind the first pack of five and in front of a second pack of five, you're either, that second pack's probably going to catch up to you if you don't catch up to that first pack. So you're never really by yourself. You're always surrounded by other drivers and other cars, and that makes it a very busy and challenging race with a lot of strategy. And where do you want to position yourself, and where do you want to be come the last 5-10 minutes of the race? So it's a lot of fun, and it's a lot more than just simply putting down the best lap times on track. It's a lot of strategy involved as well.
There's a lot of things. This is not. I believe this is I think your third or fourth year in the series. What's the biggest thing you've learned in this, the racing in these cars?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing I've learned is you don't have to burn the wheels to the ground, putting lap after lap. I mean, even if you're 5-6 tenths faster than the rest of the pack, you're not going to be able to pull away. So a lot of it is just brake, tire, car conservation, watching out for the temps, and just positioning yourself in a good spot to be in at the end of the race. If you lead the first 25 minutes of the race, yeah, you might get the 10 extra bonus points, but it really doesn't matter because you still have a whole another 20 minutes of 6-7 cars coming at you. So it's a big question of where do you want to be come towards the end, and how are you going to get there, and how are you going to make sure you have that car there at the end. And I think that's a big thing when it comes down to finishing well in these races.
So besides being in driving in Mazda MX-5, you're also doing some driver coaching too.
Yeah, so like other drivers, I do a lot of driver coaching both in go-karting, and I'm coaching in Spec MX-5 now as well. And I think coaching is very important for drivers because when you watch, analyze, critique someone else's coaching, try and help them improve. You also notice things that maybe you're doing in your own driving, and you notice a lot of things that maybe they're doing that you're also doing. And when you kind of slow it down and look at the fundamentals, you can learn a lot about yourself as well. And you learn how to make yourself better. So I think it's very impactful, and it's obviously great to stay in the paddock whenever you can, but from a pure driving ability standpoint, I think it's very beneficial for drivers to always. I think when you're coaching someone else, it really helps your driving as well, because it just kind of opens everything up a little bit, I think.
Yeah. So I know besides also doing that, you're also a college student in Indiana. So talk about what's it been like down in Bloomington this year?
Yeah, so I'm a junior here at Indiana University. I'm a professional sales and marketing major. Yeah, I mean, Indiana's going well. It's obviously one of my goals. Well, one of my goals is to graduate college, in addition to having a busy racing schedule and not really living two lives, but definitely having two aspects of my life, both the professional career with racing and the academic career as well with college. So it's going well. I'm enjoying it. Planning on graduating next year, so almost there. But yeah, it's going well.
Yeah, it's I know there's been a lot of off time in between, the last race you had at St. Pete and now, and you got to do something, you got to live a lifelong dream. You got to go across the pond and go see your favorite Premier League soccer team. Of course, it's Arsenal. What was that experience like?
Yeah, so I actually have a lot of friends that are studying abroad this year, but obviously I couldn't study abroad due to racing commitments.
Right.
So for spring break, I decided to go visit them, and one of the things we did was we attended an Arsenal game in North London, and I've been a huge Arsenal fan my entire life, so it was a great experience to finally make it out to the Emirates Stadium and live in the passion of those English fans and just experience it in person. I mean, just before the game, after the game, during the game, the passion those fans have sitting in the seats, watching my favorite team play live was a great experience. And we ended up beating Crystal Palace 4-1, and Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Martinelli scored in front of us. So that was cool to see. And it was just awesome to live that in real time. And obviously, if you follow Premier League, you will know that we're doing pretty well this year. So
Yeah.
hopefully, if it turns out the way that we wanted, it'll be really cool to be able to be a part of this season. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was a great experience, and I'm really glad and thankful that I was able to make it out at least once in my life to see one of those games.
Yeah, for sure. Um, let's of course the next MX-5 Cup race will be at Laguna Seca. Of course, that's also where that's actually where you guys are going next. Of course, IMSA will be there will be there that weekend as well. Just kind of talk about like what's it going to be like to head back out there, and you're going to a lot of these tracks that you are now familiar with.
Yeah, so I've been to every track on the calendar at least once now. We didn't end up going to Laguna last year, but we went in 2021. Laguna is a very interesting track with these cars. The draft isn't really as apparent as you would think. Laguna has a very interesting surface too that makes the car understeer a lot, and I think that definitely adds in a curveball for the drivers and the setup strategy for the teams, and even the strategy for MX-5 Cup. You don't really see the big packs at Laguna that you do at Road Atlanta, Road America, or Daytona, even though the racing's still great. I mean, it's definitely close, but you're not going to get a 10-car pack for the lead. So that's exciting for me as a driver, where you get a chance to kind of build a gap and break away with less drivers. And obviously that gives you a better potential to win if you put yourself in the right position. But Laguna is a great track. Obviously, you have the corkscrew and the beautiful scenery of Monterey, California, and I'm very excited to be going back there. So hopefully it goes well, aiming for a win, but more importantly, aiming for good championship points, because we need to get back on a good path here.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Sam, thanks so much for coming on and talking with us, and best of luck at Laguna Seca, and we'll have you on again sometime later in the year.
Thank you, Casey. I appreciate it.